Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Daily Bone Podcast, the hyper liquid of podcasts, where we discuss all things crypto market. That includes the majors like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, meme coins, and of course, NFTs. Today, we're going to discuss the massive day Circle and Coinbase had in the equities market. We're going to talk about X's push into the investment space. And we're going to talk about the results from yesterday's FOMC meeting, what that means, what that's going to look like going forward. I'm joined this morning by my little buddy over here, Clemente, Sea-Dog, Chili Army 123. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling a little sad, Ray. I'm feeling a little sad.
Why? Why are you so sad?
I was kind of a jerk last night.
Oh, you were a jerk last night.
I was like, so I checked my wallet yesterday on OpenSea, and I was like going through NFTs that I owned, and I saw these chunks, which were a base collection that about 6 months ago, right? It was in November during like Art Basel. I found, and it was like an open edition, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna mint a bunch of these.
We all did.
I spent thousands minting them. I told other people to buy them, and they turned into a little bit of a meme because they minted 83,000 of these. Ray, the Twitter space is muted, by the way. But anyways, these guys minted 83,000 at 0.01. So they raised like 830 ETH. That's like $2 million, 2.5. But ultimately what they were wanting to do is like build upon the NFT layer, right? They wanted to add a bunch of cool stuff from a marketplace perspective and like what you can do with NFTs. Anyways, long story short, I tweeted about them. I was like, yo, I paid whatever, 1,000. I paid 1 ETH for these. Now I'm down however much. I didn't think much of the tweet because it was just like, I didn't think these guys were around. It turns out they are still around, and they're like constantly shipping, and they were like genuinely sad by my comments. So I felt terrible. I was like, dude, I didn't know you guys are still around. I'm sorry. Anyways, I bought a bunch more. I tried to, you can't like sweep on here, but it was just an interesting thought process. Like, I think there's a lot of NFT collections that minted out a bunch of.
Oh my God, you bought so many more. You have 91 of these now?
I don't know how many I have. I have no idea how many I have.
The answer is 91.
Anyways, I felt bad, but it was also interesting to see like a lot of NFT collections that are just kind of stuck. Like Chonks, it wasn't their fault that they raised 3 mil. Right? It was the market that gave them this money, and what they set out to do, they're just like, yeah, they're doing exactly what they wanted to do, but just people don't care. Right? So,
well, there's some interesting stuff with these. Like I think they're like their own crypto wallet. You could like can remove and trade the traits. It was like somewhat unique. That's why you've seen like all these naked ones on the floor is basically people have removed the traits and sold them. I mean, there's some cool stuff they were doing initially. I think it just all like with this space, like momentum is such a big thing. And like, if you don't have something that's sustaining momentum, it's like so hard, especially as an NFT collection that's just emerging to see like initial success.
Yeah. Momentum and attention is the biggest thing. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I retract. Zeneca was like, he was like a dad, basically. He was like, yo, Clemente, I'm disappointed in you. So I was like, yo, Zeneca, chill, dude. Go to Zeneca. He like posted this big thing roasting me, basically. He was just like so disappointed in my post. Go back up, go up. Anyways, no, you gotta go up. You're like,
oh, it like loaded me halfway down the page.
Yeah. So anyways, Zeneca did that, and I was like, dude, I gotta log off social media.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, we gotta have a talk.
It was like him sitting me down and be like, yo, you got to stop. You're being disobedient. You got to you got to behave better. So anyways, that was my night last night. I went to bed kind of sad. I woke up kind of sad. But, we're back, dude. We're back. Let's go. Yeah, Notorious Big Bull is saying this is something he experienced, I think, with Zen Academy, is like building an NFT collection and doing stuff with NFTs, and you think you're gonna do something, but like people care less about what you're actually doing versus what the promise of what you're actually doing. And when you actually deliver it, you realize like, oh shit, no one actually cares about this.
Everything's built on speculation. Once something becomes reality and you can attach a price or a utility to it, it loses that speculative layer, which is what sends most of these NFT collections to like ridiculous valuations. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And when you strip them to just being the collectible, you I think see the true value of it. Like Doodles right now, right? They're at whatever, they're at 1 ETH, right? They've just been kind of down only, but like I think this is indicative of like what their value is as a collectible, right? And like what the potential IP upside is. But anyways.
Zeneca, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. We've got a lot to talk about. Sorry. We've got a lot to talk about today. Why don't we kick it off with a weather report, and then we'll jump into some more of these stories. Some big news coming across the board.
Let's do it, Raymond. Let's do it. Man, what a time to be alive. Thursday already. Weeks flying by. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Thursday, June 19th. Let's look over at the crypto roundup. How are the majors doing? They're chopping. Chop. Little Bobby Flay on the majors today. Bitcoin just under 105K. Ethereum over 2,500 and Solana 145. A lot of people are saying the bottom is in. Mando's saying now's a good time to long. The shorts are no longer the popular trade. We'll see how that turns out. Over the last 24 hours, crypto equities surged, with Circle hitting a new all-time high after it gained over 30% on the day. Circle just slaughtering the rest of the crypto market. If you owned Circle's probably outperforming in just a week and a half, 2 weeks. Circle is outperforming Ethereum in the last 4 years. I just made that up, but it's probably true. Coinbase also had a massive day. It gained 16% in its trading, just shy of $300. Raymond, I would believe that is because USD Circle and Coinbase have a very tight-knit relationship. I believe Coinbase makes some cash off of Circle. Maybe, dare I say, 50% of the revenue. You got to check me on that. Maybe we can look into it. Next up, news broke this morning. There's some breaking news. X users will be able to soon trade and invest directly on the app. There's no timeline or list of assets that was given. X trying to become the everything app. Finally, the Federal Reserve left interest rates unchanged yesterday as expected. Boring one here. During the post-release press conference, Jerome Powell, he was coughing a little bit. But he stated that he doesn't expect any rate cuts until at least September. The updated dot plot showed over half of FOMC members still expect at least 2 rate cuts this year. That's it for the weather report. Back to you in the studio. Ray,
excellent weather report as always. Clemente, dealing with some dog howling. My wife is home on summer break now with my daughter, and they left the house, and my dogs tend to not like that very much. So I have this fun little hack where there's a thermostat upstairs. It's a smart thermostat that like can play music. So I'll play music to the upstairs, and then the dogs stop howling. It's a pretty fun little trick we can do from downstairs to get the dogs a little quiet here. Lot to unpack there. I want to stick on the FOMC very briefly. No change. People saying it's not gonna. We're not gonna see rate cuts till September. We kind of moved negatively in terms of the dot plot. So if anyone's not familiar with the dot plot, I think every other FOMC they release a dot plot, which essentially shows how the participants view rate cuts going forward for the year, like their target levels for 2025, 2026, 2027, etc. So going from March to June, March we saw 4 people saying no cut, 4 people saying 1 cut, and then when we're going to June, we're seeing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people saying no cut and 2 people saying 1 cut. So even though it's like a little bit more skewed to the upside, where a little more than half of the participants think we're going to get 2 or more, we're seeing the other half kind of go even further towards no cuts. Looking at Polymarket, I kind of want to trade this, to be honest. Like we're looking at 0 cuts at 20%. I think this gets up to 50-50 by the end of the summer. Because, like, I mean, essentially Powell said, hey, we're not cutting this summer. September is when we're going to think about it. Like, if they don't cut in September, like, this is going to become very, very interesting to see, like, what's happening here. So, I don't know how much these cuts are going to affect the market, but I do think that I'm going to make this trade on no cuts at 20%. I was talking about it before. Let me zoom out a little bit. I wanted to make something down closer here at 13, but I just didn't pull the trigger. We were talking about, okay, I already ran up 2x from 7. But I'm really interested now that we've pulled back all the way from 30% of no cuts all the way down to 20, making that bet here and thinking that it's almost like time decay. Over the next 2 months, we're not going to see anything. This number should go up. I can maybe farm a little poly market and get a decent amount of yield on this trade would be the game plan.
A lot of volume on that. Is that 9 million in volume?
Yeah, I mean this one gets a lot of volume. It's one of the biggest volume markets on poly market. So pretty liquid too. Easy to get out of position. So like these positions are pretty liquid. I mean the zero cut has 1.7 mil worth of volume, and it's pretty thick in terms of liquidity here.
Looks good. Looks good.
Yep. So that's my thoughts on the rate cuts. What do you make of this X news? Payments and investing directly in the app. Will you do your investing on Twitter if they release it?
I don't know. Like, I look at what the arena has done. I think is the closest part comparison. Where there's certain parts of the arena, and for people that don't know, the arena is basically a social fi app. It's like a Twitter clone, kind of, except it's on chain. So you have tickets that you can buy and sell. You can post. You can do all these things, and like the cool integrations that are on there for the social media is being able to like tip people directly on the app with a Memecoin, with whatever it is. Being able to tip on a stream, or like there are things you can do. Or if someone's like shilling a ticker, you can just buy it directly on the app. That kind of stuff is cool. Now, what I use, yeah, so this is like you can basically click on some of these tickers and buy it directly based on what's in your wallet. So,
oh, cool. So like the cash tag essentially brings you right to the token page here.
exactly. So like that stuff is cool for me. I find that interesting. I think those types of use cases are really interesting for X. I think it's less. Yeah, I think it's less interesting than it was a year ago for me. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. And it'll probably be competing with like Robinhood, I guess. But I'm not gonna use it to like invest, right? I would just buy it. I would just use it to like interact socially with people.
Well, my biggest question is why aren't you shilling AVAX sub 1 million shitters on the timeline on Arena? I'm not seeing any of them on your feed here.
The arena's been fascinating to see, actually. You're watching the what was basically the Big A saying the arena token is undervalued. I think it's an interesting thought experiment. Like you're basically seeing AVAX, the entire AVAX meme coin vertical be owned by Arena. So I think asking yourself, what's the upside for meme coins on AVAX? What's the upside for these to continue to get traction? Because the arena basically owns everything. Like the arena basically turned into Pump.fun entirely, except with a social layer tied to it, which is what Pump.fun is missing and trying to add right now, if you'll notice. So I think it's interesting. We saw the token kind of get a repricing. What was it? It was 2 weeks ago or so. It went from $28 million market cap to ran up all the way to 60. So it did a 3x. Now it's sitting at 40. So kind of down 50% from the highs. I'm a champion, which means that basically I'm a top 500 staker of the token. So I get a percentage of the token supply whenever it migrates.
So how much token do you need to own to get that? Like what's your exposure to Arena token? Sounds like it has to be pretty high.
It's high. I bought right now I have 10 grand worth. And ooh, I'm I don't know what, yeah, I'm like this is kind of a lot. And I'm right on the bubble. Like top 500 stakers, I'm number 486 right now. I'm like, dude, this is a lot of money to have on to have on the arena. But I'm holding it so far. That's it. So I don't know if the ROI is necessarily worth it. I bought some. I'm in the money. Like I got some at around. I put like 6K in, so I'm up 80% on it. I don't know if it's a buy now, but I think it's an interesting ecosystem to check out and kind of monitor whether or not it's worth looking at. But yeah,
Have you calculated what you've gotten from the airdrops from this? Because don't you get like a piece of every token launch or something like that, or how's it work?
yeah, I have basically gotten roughly $1,000 back.
Okay,
I would say.
that's not bad at all. So
No, it's
basically,
solid.
earning yield and your bags went up. So your bags went up 4K and you've earned 1K of yield on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
And yeah, I'm looking at it. I go, okay, 160 mil FDV for the top meme coin, like for literally the pump fund of AVAX plus the social layer on top of it. The problem with this one is there's no really a huge reason to own the token unless you just want exposure to the arena, the success of it basically. But like they're not doing they're not doing buybacks, they're not doing any of that right now. I think they've seen a good amount of revenue recently and they're trying to figure out what to do with it. But this was pretty slim, like they were operating very lean from a capital perspective.
Well, I mean, the one thing, I mean, the utility is if you own enough of it, you get 10% share. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, like you've earned 10% yield essentially on your arena token, is what it sounds like. Even more than more than that from based on what you put in. So I mean,
Correct.
that's utility, and I guess it's speculation that they'll continue to introduce sinks and utility like that, which is interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think I like the play. I think Pump.fun is trading at like a 6 or 7 billion FDV on pre-markets right now. So like, yeah, 6 billion FDV, not a ton of volume here on this pre-market Pump.fun, but just like interesting to look at. So that's like a 60x on arena. Is Pump.fun worth 60x arena? You can make arguments both ways, but that's an interesting way to frame it for sure.
Yeah. The other thing that's clear is that it's the kind of the baby of AVAX a little bit. Like Avalanche really wants this to succeed because it's probably the top app on Avalanche as far as like a crypto native one. You can make arguments obviously that Avalanche has a lot of like they have the gaming front and they have kind of the tokenization front, but when you look at like the crypto native apps, the arena is number one, and I think they want it to succeed. So
yeah, I mean, we've been working with Avalanche for a while, and it feels like their priorities are arena and like off the grid essentially as like two of the biggest apps on their platform, in addition to all the like RWA adoption going on. So like the degen side of things and the gaming side of things, it's really like arena and off the grid. So like I think they're very invested in the success of arena as well. So like it kind of gives you a little more confidence if you are kind of jumping in. Got off track there, but that's good. I actually haven't looked at the arena too much, so I kind of learned a bit there in terms of how that works. I may have to grab some on that dip. We'll see how far down we go, but like you're saying, maybe time to long some of these altcoins. Next story today, we talked about the X. We talked about the Federal Reserve. Let's look at some of these charts on equities. We saw Circle go absolutely bananas yesterday. 33% outperforming like all of crypto. This thing opened at what, wasn't it like a $30 IPO or like $31? Now all the way up to 200 yesterday, up 33% on the day. Trading pre-market. I'm not sure why it's not showing me pre-market trading right now. It was up around 211 pre-market. So this has been absolutely cooking. We saw the Genius stablecoin bill pass the Senate yesterday, well, 2 days ago. Trump yesterday was urging the House to basically push this forward so he can sign it and get it into law without any changes. Yes, sir. Heavy bags in the comments. IPO at 31, opened at 90. Market's closed today. Today's Juneteenth, right?
Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Hey, no days off for Bodoggos, man.
No days off for Bodoggos. I mean, this is a federal holiday. We're off. I'm just gonna hop off now. Then you good?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this has been insane performance from the Circle, like ridiculous. it's outperformed like everything. I think part of the argument, well, a lot of people are saying it's significantly overvalued right now. I think it was so beautifully timed, this IPO. Like you couldn't have gotten a better time to IPO, because all of a sudden you have the White House doing all of the stablecoin legislature with the Genius bill. You had, who was it that said that the stablecoin market is going to be like a $3.7 trillion market?
So the Secretary, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said, like he believes that target is more reachable now. I don't know who originally gave that figure, but he essentially quoted that figure of 3.7 trillion being like in range now that this is passed.
Yeah.
He also was quoted yesterday saying crypto is not a threat to the dollar, and that crypto is going to basically make like establish the US dollar as like the dominant currency. So he's like all in on crypto and stable coins.
Yeah, so I look at this and I go, why, like and with Circle, you could have put in basically any size into that buy. If you bought it right after it opened, I think it opened at like $70. Sir Heavy Back is saying at 90. I thought
it closed day one at around 90.
Yeah, I think you could have bought it at like 60, 70. So you're seeing like a 3x, which is ridiculous. I'm curious about what will can you go to Coinbase lifetime, maybe like the weekly or something? Because didn't Coinbase drop like 90% after its IPO? Yeah, look at this.
Yeah, so Coinbase, it looks like we IPO'd. I don't know what they released. I don't know what the IPO was at, but they were up at $400, $380 closing day one. And then within, so April 2021 IPO, and then hitting a local bottom like May 21. I mean, this is with the crash of crypto as well, down to 223. So almost a 50% haircut for coin to like their initial lows. Was pretty much down only after the IPO, and then went down even further.
Oh my God.
Yeah, down to $44.
This thing went down to 44. I actually remember us talking about this on the show about Coinbase and Robinhood being like ridiculously low. But at that point in the bear market, like you just lose so much conviction, and you have like having capital to deploy is very difficult too. So yeah, I mean those would have been great buys. Do we know what the next IPO is? But to put a like the other thing I'm curious about, Ray, is what's the next IPO? And most mature crypto companies have to be like, hey, let's fricking get to Wall Street as soon as possible. How can we? But IPOing, I'm assuming, takes a lot of time. So you're going to see like creative ways to IPO, like what SRM did. This is Tron, right? Damn. Yeah, you're muted, Ray.
Sorry, yeah. Tron did the reverse merger. Gemini filed for a like a confidential IPO. So we also have that. Was another one. I think that was what, a week ago at this point. So that could be the next one that comes out. I'm trying, like off the top of my head, I can't think of any others that are like in the queue right now. But yeah, I agree with what Sir Heavy Bags is saying in the comments. Like SPACs and reverse mergers are going to pick up, because you're going to see, I think you're going to continue to see these dead companies, or like zombie companies, essentially doing these reverse mergers. We've seen it a number of times with the treasury strategy. I think you're just going to see like other like mainstream crypto companies try to like get into the action while there is still action.
Yeah.
Like, while crypto is hot right now, strike while the iron's hot, and the fastest way to get to market and be able to be publicly traded is to do one of these like reverse mergers.
Yeah. I think with SPACs, yeah, this is like an NFTs, right? Or a meme coin. when like a meta takes off and we and everyone all of a sudden all of the new Pump.fun coins are about the meta. So right now we're going through this is like last year when we saw Moo Dang take off and we ran into the animal meta. Except we're seeing it with like public crypto companies going public.
Yeah. DeFi Development Corp is looking strong. We saw Sol Strategies is listed on the Canadian Stock Exchange. They filed to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange yesterday. So that's another one I'm watching. HODL is the ticker on the Canadian Stock Exchange. Also, I always try to keep an eye on like Cantor, soon to be 21. See what's going on here. Like this is interesting to me for like I've been wanting to buy this and like looking at it breaking below this trend line here makes me interested. Like maybe start DCAing into Cantor.
I top blasted that one.
Yeah. Yep. MicroStrategy is kind of holding steady in the 300s after dipping as low as 240 during those pullbacks we had last month or last couple months. Be interested to see how this does with Bitcoin in terms of outperformance. But yeah, like I think that's it for like crypto equities I'm interested in, like MicroStrategies, Cantor. I'm going to start looking at Sol Strategies as they get listed. They're doing some interesting stuff. Coinbase, Circle. Is there anything else you're looking at in equities? And I guess another question is like, what are you holding for crypto equities? I know you have MicroStrategy. Do you have?
I have MicroStrategy. That's my, if I were to like look at my portfolio, I'd say MicroStrategy 75% of my port. I have Robinhood probably at like 10-15% of my port, and then Cantor Equity Partners is the other 10%.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good list.
I owe zero Circle. I have zero Circle.
Yeah. Like that's one you're gonna get get questions down the road. Like, oh, you were in crypto, Dad? Like, how much Circle do you have? You saw that launch, right? You were around for when that IPO'd at $31, and everyone was saying stable coins are the future of crypto and they're crypto's killer app. You must have invested in that one.
Exactly. You're like, oh yeah, you must have gotten it. My buddies were they're gonna be like, oh, dude, have you heard of Circle? And I'm like, oh yeah, I've known about Circle for the like 5 years. Did I? And I witnessed them IPOing, but I decided to instead talk about SPX 6900. Udi from Taproot Wizards had a little bit of a long rant yesterday. He actually quote tweeted my tweet about it, but he's basically saying that like crypto Twitter's broke and you need to stop paying attention to like meme coins and random bullshit and actually just buy stocks. He's like, I do not respect crypto Twitter. I don't respect them. What you retards don't understand is that this is real money, big dick capital, not like your scammer KOLs pumping dog shit memes and giving up after 3 hours. You cannot compete with this. So Udi's been having this take for like the last month. I actually was thinking about it last night as well. We talk about institutions buying our bags, right? Or we talk about institutions getting into crypto. And my fear, part of it is like, why would they want to buy? They're buying Ethereum, right? I would want to talk to like these Wall Street people and ask them, what is it that you're actually interested in? Because buying Solana, right? Or buying, we can go even further down the risk curve for whatever altcoin that a lot of people are like obsessed with. Altcoin season needs, if we want to see an altcoin season, we need to see like actual liquidity flow to these things. And what if liquidity just goes only to these like stocks like Circle or whatever ends up going, or Coinbase, other things that end up going public with like real companies that have revenue versus like buying Solana, right? Why would an investor want to buy Solana when it's not clear what like the actual value proposition of the token ends up being? And you have inflation, you have all of these things versus Circle with the business model that it has. Those are the things that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's different levels of risk that institutional capital takes on. I think at some point the Circle trade and like the IPO trade like becomes stale, or like the risk adjusted return just isn't there. Like, yeah. I think companies could be looking here and saying, holy shit, Circle went from $31 to $200. Like, what's the next IPO? And then eventually that's going to dry out. And they're like, okay, where's the next level that you can get that sort of return? And I think that is like the base underlying crypto tokens. And I think you're going to see interest in like the underlying tokens or ETFs. You're going to see more ETF applications. And you're going to have people like then speculating one level further saying like, okay, these all have ETFs. We have a Bitcoin, an Ethereum, a Litecoin, a Solana, an XRP, a Cardano, a SWI ETF. Like, these things all pump. They all got ETFs. What's the next step down the risk curve? You're looking at emerging blockchains, you're looking at hype, you're looking at other protocols. So I think like there is a trickle down effect. And I think it's just a matter of time. Like, you're not going to be able to print unlimited money on equity IPOs like Circle. And I think that people are going to slowly move down the risk curve to emerging protocols on chain.
That makes sense to me. So it means just buy hype. or it means, hey, if you want to go further down the risk curve, they're going to start buying our NFTs.
I mean, hype just feels like such an obvious buy here. And I think like we could look back and say like, this just made too much sense. When I feel that way though, it's like, okay, well, is that consent? That feels consensus. But it's just one of those where it's like, hey, yeah, like it's obvious. It's consensus because it's obvious to the people in the space. And it's like there is friction still. It's still hard to explain. Like, I couldn't explain hype to a normie and have them get excited about it. You know, I'm like, oh, it's a decentralized exchange with its own L2. It does token buybacks. You know, it's very hard to like get the idea of hype to somebody who is outside of our space, but everyone inside of our space kind of sees the value prop and value add here. So it's hard to do like the elevator pitch on that. And I think as long as that's hard, there's still friction and still room to run.
Yeah. Tony's saying the hype's headed to $28 to $30 to fill the weekly fair value gap. That would be interesting. That would be fantastic. We had
there. Yeah, I love that.
Greeny calling for that as well.
That would be good. My liquidations are well below that level for my lending. Short hype is a consensus. Interesting. How do you buy hype? You bridge to Hyperliquid and you buy it on their platform. You should be able to bridge ETH, Sol, Bitcoin directly on Hyperliquid to do it. Or you can get it, I think you can get it on Binance. I'm not sure where else in terms of centralized exchange. I think Coinbase has it on the roadmap. So there will be some less friction like down the road.
Tommy, our resident hype maxi, is calling for $683 hype. He's also saying to buy the IPO babies, the NFT collection.
I bought an NFT this morning.
Oh, I saw.
I bought a bad bun this morning. I just want more exposure to Mega ETH. Saw a cool one right on the floor. I think they do well.
Is that your first bad bun?
That's my first bad bun purchase.
Is it bad buns or a bad bun?
I think when you talk about the collection, they're bad buns. But when I'm talking about one individually, I'm going to call it a bad bun.
No, because it's a buns. It says buns number 1408. Okay, well, dude, I remember seeing this at 0.15, and I was like, I'm going to wait for a little bit of a pullback. And I got greedy. I didn't buy any, but.
Well, we talked about it on the first run up, and I said, I'm going to put in some offers at 0.25, and I didn't, and they would have hit, and I would have been very happy. But I want some exposure. I'm beginning to see like other hype adjacent NFTs like start to respect these. I think there's like a Miladies derivative coming out that is getting allocation to bad buns, like 1,000 spots to bad buns or something like that. We're seeing like continued interaction with like Bread Guy and the ecosystem. So I think these play a fairly major role. And I kind of like have flipped my thought process a bit. I have one of the fluffles as well. And I'm like, well, I paid 1 ETH for that. Like, how far could these potentially run? But I think the fact that these are tradable just adds a little bit of like value and community to them, because people are like making money of these. You see price go up, which is like one of the biggest like drivers of attention in crypto. Like, having a soul-bound NFT just isn't exciting. But when you have something that can appreciate in value, it does like generate hype and attention.
I'm fascinated by the NFT space right now. New Mint specifically, I think there is money to be made with. Identifying which NFTs to buy is an interesting play, because you almost don't want it to be very hyped going into the launch, right? what you're looking for is an NFT collection that almost like struggles to mint out. If anything, like trades with not much traction for a day or two, because that allows for like natural accumulation and natural kind of hype to play out. What happens is if it's just the pre-mint super hype, it doesn't have that room to capture the upside. It just turns into people that mint selling for a flip, right? When I look at some of the recent plays, like whatever that Pokemon one was, when I look at Bad Buns,
Mhm.
when I look at Dreamelios,
I mean, there's definitely action on NFTs right now. Like,
there's huge action.
we just saw like Gristle Buddies NFT mint out. I absolutely cooked on that one.
Cooked.
That went from 0.069 to 0.44 right now. So like, there's people who
But
want to buy NFTs.
But the 0.44 was what I'm saying is, if you didn't have whitelist for that, what upside did you have? Right? What did these debut at
Yeah, exactly.
post secondary? Right.
Yeah.
So this was an absolute cook for sure. But I'm looking at like collections that you can actually have upside post mint.
Yeah, I mean, there were only a handful of sales below like 0.3. Like like one sweep would have like basically taken anything that got sold under 0.3. So yeah, not a ton of like availability there for sure. Yeah. Blade said 0.3. That was basically your entry on secondary if you were like really paying attention.
If I were to, yeah, we have like other NFTs to be interested in, or like the SoFun ecosystem. We worked with them like 2 months ago, and they are taking kind of an abstract approach, like where they have the portal. You kind of have this homepage that you can look at, and they're taking a unique approach, right? Where they're basically like incubating these NFT projects. So they have these Remelux, which is like the dream, like the Remelio of the ecosystem. They look cool. They're unique. And then you have the nameless NFTs. Those are two to like keep an eye on. I don't know what their process is for getting whitelist. I kind of want them to just have like very little hype going into these and try to catch them under the radar post mint. So
I like these.
they look cool. I like these better than
I feel like I feel like I keep seeing these like new Milady derivatives, and they like keep looking. They look so much cooler than the originals. These are sick.
yeah,
I like the like darker theme on these.
yeah. They have like a more. So if you're interested in trading, I think these NFT, like finding NFTs that are like this, where they're new ecosystems where they clearly want to support it. That's what happened with Bad Buns. That's what happened with Dreamelios, and kind of make some plays there. Or if you want to make a bet on base, you can just buy chonks.
Small Penergy is going to be buying 1-to-1 for any chonks buys you have.
Izzy, dude, I bought so many. The problem is you can't sweep on, for some reason, you can't sweep chonks.
I think it has something to do with like how they're developed. Like,
So,
like you can sell the different traits. It's like might have to do with like the token standard.
got it. So I was sitting there just hella sad last night, just buying 50 chonks or however many I bought last night.
You were clicking buttons probably for like 30 minutes just to buy all those chonks.
It was such a pain in the ass, dude. So this naked one had its things stripped.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
All right, dude, Small P Energy for some reason really wants to buy some chonks live. Like really wants to.
I have 11 chonks.
You have 11? Okay, I'm gonna get to clean 100, and then we will I'll be good.
I got some nice ones. This guy. Little tuxedo action here. I'm gonna put Clemente back on the stage as he gets up to 100.
The fees kind of catch up to you. I'm not gonna lie. I was buying these on base, and I was like, oh, I'm paying you. You end up paying $1 per transaction. So these are my cool, like the old. You see how mine, the ones that aren't stripped of all of their parts, look way better.
And you can, I think you can use their site. Like you can create your own. So like you can pull off different traits. So I think like what you need to do to like complete the apology is like create your own chunk and then PFP it. And then Zeneca will readopt you.
Yeah, Zeneca will be like, "Good job, mate. I'm proud of you." What do I have here? They're saying Mr. Meridian's saying there could be some treasures in their backpack. So these basically have their own wallets.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like what's in okay, damn, this is so I don't own any of these. Got it. No trace to display. My chunk has got the pants. Yeah, I mean, interesting. All right. Well, there you have it. Chunks.
All right. Okay. What else do we have to talk about today? I'm going to go through some quick hitters I have here. Keep you up to date on all of the news. Then we'll figure out what else we want to talk about today. Pump.fun hired top crypto lawyers to fight against the class action lawsuit from Berwick Law. Iran ordered local crypto exchanges to adjust their operating hours to avoid hacks. We saw the hack from Israel the other day. Now crypto exchanges can only operate between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. I think that shows you how much that they rely on crypto to avoid international sanctions. We have Nauru, smallest island nation in the world. They're introducing crypto legislation to attract firms to incorporate there and use their country as kind of like their home base of operations. KuCoin introduced dormancy fees for non-KYC accounts and basically said, hey, if you're in China or the US, get your funds off of here so you don't get charged with fees because you can't KYC because you aren't allowed to use our platform. We talked about Scott Bessent believing the crypto will lock in the dollar supremacy. Coinbase announced that they introduced basically a crypto payment framework for merchants. We saw this basically their first step with Stripe, integrating with Stripe. Now they're introducing kind of like a global framework that other merchants can use. They also allowed USDC to be used as collateral for futures trading on their platform. So closer integration with USDC there. We talked about Sol Strategies filing with the SEC to get listed. Ohio, this is an interesting one, passed a bill to exempt small Bitcoin payments from taxes. So any Bitcoin payment you make under $200 in Ohio will not count towards taxes. And finally, be safe out there. A16Z's Twitter account got hacked yesterday. It had a drainer attached to it. So just be aware of that and keep your eyes peeled. Stay safe. Bunch of quick hitters there. Anything that interested you there, Clemente, or anything else you want to talk about before we wrap?
No, I was saying the Pump.fun stuff is interesting. I was looking at these creator coins and I'm basically just not interested in them. Is my entire stance on them. They're interesting if you can capture the upside, but the problem for people that don't know, we have like a bunch of streamers that are partnering with Pump.fun to launch tokens, and basically all these tokens have 80% of the supply bought up immediately. And so you get like these runs up, basically these like really extreme prices because there's such little liquid, like the amount of circulating supply is much lower. So something is at like 10 million market cap, but 80% of supply is locked up. So you basically get the 20% of supply circulating. So it really has price action. But anyways, I like it in theory, but the problem with these, Ray, is that like the upside of a human like streamer or a human coin feels way lower than like a dog with hat, right? Or like a fart coin, because you start valuing them based off of their virality. So unless someone goes like giga viral, which we saw like with Gainsey, his coin did a 3x when he became basically like the main character of crypto Twitter. You have these parabolic runs up, but you get capped because people are like, okay, well, like how much more viral can you get? Or like you compare them to other coins. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about these like creator coins. I think that it's going to be very hard to make money on them in a short period of time.
Yeah, like the 80% thing isn't something that you need to do if you're launching one of these too. Like I think it's just something that they're doing to push price to have better optics.
Yeah, exactly. That's all that it is. It's like people want Rasmer's coin being at 4 mil versus less than 100, less than a
800K.
mil
Yeah.
is like people would not want to buy that. It makes it seem worse. But that's really what this coin's at. It's like an 800K market cap coin.
Yep. Yeah. 800K circulating, 4.4 mil FTV essentially, based on the lockup.
They're running back the low float, high FTV move. But it is interesting. See, like Pump.fun is continuing to pivot and like tap into new layers of liquidity, right? Like they're and like new narratives where they can get people to like believe in something, and then they're making their money again, and they're gonna tap into something else next. So we'll see, but it doesn't make me too excited about the state of the trenches right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really making any money on the trenches. I did trade that Rasmer coin for a profit when it first dropped, but I'm basically more focused on EVM stuff. I mean, I'm out of virtuals essentially. I think that's legging down before it comes back. I'm basically just holding like a few conviction positions. Like I'm holding Hype, I'm holding Kaido, I'm holding base virtuals token, and then the majors. Like I'm not trading meme coins really. Like I did that NFT mint yesterday because I had a allow list, so I traded that, moved that into stables and other conviction positions. So like I think right now, like I'm sure people are making money clicking a lot of buttons, but I just don't see it as like a hey, there's like money sitting all over the floor, let's pick it up.
Yeah.
And until that happens, like I'm not going to be spending the time that I was spending in the trenches. Like if you look back at October, November, anyone who's a Bodogo like remembers we were like in the trenches on Discord like for hours a day, like just making all these trades, just cashing. But right now we just don't see that. So I think it's a matter of like picking your spots, understanding what worked before isn't going to work now necessarily, and then kind of figuring out what the current meta is.
This is a great comment by AFK. Um, basically saying that in the future, people are going to ask you, like, oh, you're in crypto in 2025 or 2024. How are you not just absurdly rich? And you're going to be like, yeah, well, so I got really into the trenches and I lost all my money on meme coins. Yeah, that's honestly my fear, Ray, is like, we're gonna look back at this period and we're gonna be like, dude, you dumb fuck. You were buying you were buying chunks instead of putting your money into like Bitcoin or what, whatever it was. Dude, that is, I look at my portfolio. What do you have? You have
Kaido, Hype, virtual, majors.
Kaido, Hype, virtual, major. I would sell my virtuals. I never understood them, but Kaido, I think I'm down on again. I have, dude, I have 13 grand in the arena token. I have a good amount of AVAX. I have MOG, which I want to sell desperately, but I kind of want to wait. I don't want to sell it now. I think, well, maybe that's what most people think. I have a lot of fart coin.
I do want to buy SPX.
I don't even want to like, I don't know if I want to buy SPX. To be honest, the problem with SPX, Ray, is like, if you actually look at what Murad's doing on TikTok, he's not doing that well. The meme of SPX is not that good. I would rather it have been something that actually is more memeable. Because if you look at his TikTok performance, it's basically like 3,000 or 4,000 views per video. And some of them perform better. Like some of them he'll break out and they have 30, 40, 50,000. But if I were to think about actual buyers from Murad's TikTok, quote unquote retail, meaning not crypto native, it's very low. But it's the optics of, oh my God, Murad's going to onboard the masses and wanting to front run them that has caused this run up. Very impressive to 1.3 mil or bill. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I think like Murad isn't going to stop doing those anytime soon. So it could be a buy at like $1.30.
I mean, it's a strong meme, strong cult. I've been wanting to buy it. I still don't want to buy it here. Maybe I'll just DCA it a little bit here. Have you been using OpenSea swapping?
I have not. No. Is it good?
Yeah, it's awesome. Like you can swap any token for any token essentially. Like I could have bought SPX on ETH with base ETH or Solana, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I do like that. OpenSea is doing some dope stuff.
Yeah, okay. I just bought $600 worth of SPX. We'll see how it goes.
$600. Let's go, Ray.
I wanted to buy it. There's no better time than now to DCA, I suppose. So we'll see how that goes. We'll follow that one. Like I like how we just talked about don't lose all your money on meme coins, etc. I'm only in my conviction like majors / utility plays, and I just go and live buy a meme coin.
Yeah, I think overall, like meme coin trading was EV positive for me, but like not that. If you think about the time that I put into it, it's not that much. Versus if you told people like a year, I don't know, when I first got into crypto, it felt like everyone was making money on meme coins, and it felt like it didn't feel the same. And maybe over as time has gone on, I've grown more skeptical of crypto, of like of most crypto assets. But anyways, I don't have the same belief in a lot of things that I did before, and yeah. But anyways, we're just gonna stay in the pocket. Yeah, Ray buying SPX 6900 24 hours after he said we had a 50% chance of a nuclear war on the show.
And that's going to do it for today's show, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you enjoy the Hyperliquid of podcasts. We do this every weekday, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. You can catch us on all major podcasting platforms. Catch us on Spotify, Apple. Watch us back on YouTube if you want to see what we're talking about in real time. Watch us live, sweep chunks, and the like. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful